beautiful gemstones. Welcome to Thursday night's Chillax and Chat with myself, Ghostdragonzw, and the lovely Miss Paranormal Pixie, Miss Lotus Girl, Sir Slow Motion. Welcome on in. As usual, we really didn't discuss much of what we were going to talk about. I usually have my own ideas. Lara has her own ideas, and we meet somewhere in the middle, and that's how we do it. And we kind of like to leave it up to you guys anyway. So if we come in wanting to talk about something, but one or several of you have something that you want to talk about, always know that that is perfectly okay. Like, hey, Gemma, Lara, Ghost Dragons, this happened to me. And that's really what this stream is essentially for, you know, to let you guys bring your questions to us, or to let you guys take this chat wherever you want to take it, you know, and just we'll sit back and listen to what you have to say. And you guys are also always welcome on this chat, as I've mentioned many times. So don't, I'm just turning the Wi-Fi off on my phone. Don't ever, you know, get it twisted about what this Thursday night stream is actually about. That's why, yeah, I know. That's why I like for Lara to be on at least twice a month by herself, because she has a lot more spiritual guidance that she gives you guys. She's in the background hearting me. Yeah, twice in one day. So before I bring them in, it was definitely interesting. And I have wet hair, which is why it's usually curly. So I'm a little uncomfortable. But yeah, I was not expecting that today. I just want to say that I had actually forgotten about him being on, because of course, as usual, I was running late getting my son ready for camp and everything that I was doing around my house. And I messaged him. He's like, oh, I'm on with Eric. And I was like, oh, shoot, let me go in there and just say hi. And I planned on just talking for a minute or two, like in the chat to people, saying hi, and then being like, hey, I'm listening, but I'm doing other things. I'm glad I was able to jump in, but that was not, you know, I didn't plan on that. That wasn't supposed to happen. I'm just glad I was able to be there, because Ghost Dragons did lose Wi-Fi and cable for like 3 hours. So let me bring them in. And hi, Vixen Doe. And then we'll see where we go. Still in the same spot. That's like me. I sit right here in this spot morning, noon, and night and just work. That's it. Whether I'm filming, writing, you know, scripting, researching, or taking a break to randomly watch YouTube videos, I'm in this chair. So luckily I have a comfy cushion. I'm going to switch us for a second. Hold on one second. Yeah, there we are.
We're out of the screen. That's fine.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, Nicole.
I mean, you two women do all the talking anyway, so you can put me at the bottom.
No.
Ghost Dragons got his Gemma Jade shirt on. That is Gemma Jade merch at jivecreations.com. I think it's down right now, but only because she's kind of making some changes and tweaking it a little bit. And I also have something from jivecreations.com. It's my Pennywise shirt, and that's to match my new Pennywise earrings. The shirt was made by Arisha at Jive Creations, and it was custom made for me. And I did that instead of wearing the Gemma shirt, to show you guys that maybe you don't want to walk around advertising Gemma Jade, but you can get some pretty awesome custom stuff over there. What is up, Pam? Pam will just be listening. Aunt Edna, hello.
Yes, how is the cat, Vixen Doe? It accidentally drank peroxide.
Oh, my word.
But
what? The cat?
Yeah, just a little bit, I guess. Is it okay?
Yeah, but
it's not good for. I mean, it's not good for a cat.
It's not good for anything.
You told me that Friday night when I was streaming.
Oh, wow.
So was it Friday night, Vixen, when you told us? Yeah.
I want you guys to know too, mainly Ghost Dragons, that because it doesn't happen to your streams anymore, Lara, but all of our streams are good to go, fully monetized. They were reviewed. There was no misinformation, or, you know, you gotta love when people do that. But we got everything back to full monetization. So
did you tell them that this is a problem? Because
I haven't spoken to Bill yet. Bill's going to give me the information on how to contact someone at YouTube who handles that type of stuff. When you know that it's the same person doing it every single time out of spite, I was so tempted to go back and start doing it to them. But I was like, you know what? If I do it to this person, then I can't. I can't report them,
Right.
because I'm doing
Right.
it to them. Oh, very good. Overlord is doing fine. She is all good. Very good.
Good.
Glad to hear it.
Yeah.
Go show.
Definitely.
Did you guys catch Paranormal Highway this well, I guess it was this afternoon for me, but for myself and Ghost Dragons, but morning for most of you or some of you. I was just saying,
so bad.
I didn't expect what happened to happen. I expected to go in and chat a little bit and kind of remove myself and just listen in the background. I don't like talking in chats. Even like before I was on YouTube, and especially now that I am on YouTube, chats are hard for me because I have such high expectations of the people running them. Like when I would go into a stream and there's 3 people conversing about something and everyone in the chat, they're not conversing with the chat. They're conversing with each other and the chat is listening. And for me, that like really turned me off to live streams for so long. So I was just
I get mad when people don't acknowledge chat. I
was just going to listen in the
background.
background.
Me a super chat. I'll acknowledge you if you give me a super chat.
Yes, that's the new trend now.
If that's not fair to the people that don't have the money or don't,
depending how much you send your super chat is like whether or not it'll be read right away or at the end or you'll get a mention. And I don't agree with that. But if it works for somebody else, then that's it's their channel. They can do what they want.
Especially now, I can understand when there's like people who have thousands of people on their stream because I've seen that, and you can't read everything.
Yeah.
So they kind of put a frame. I get that, but I've literally watched streams where there's only like 50, 60 people and they're only reading super chats and people are asking good questions and saying good comments and it's like they don't even acknowledge anybody during the whole chat anyways. They don't come in and say like you do hello and then slow motion and Nicole. There's only a few that do that.
Right.
I was watching Stephanie Harlow, who most people know. I'm sorry to say it, I can't with her. And I was watching her with someone else that I do still really like, so I won't mention his name, but they were speaking live. That was the first live stream I ever was in because I didn't find YouTube as like a thing until 2018. Possibly 2019. I had no idea YouTube existed. I had no idea true crime on YouTube existed. I had no idea. Like if you had said you were watching YouTube, I would have assumed maybe you were listening to music. It wouldn't have occurred to me. So I found her and I found her lovely channel and I loved it and I became obsessed and I just supported her so much. And then when I came out with my channel, I was very, wet behind the ears. I didn't know exactly what I was doing. And I inadvertently offended a mother of a case that I had covered. I was the first one on YouTube to cover this case. Okay. And I was not monetized at the time. And the mother reached out to me and she was calling me all kinds of names. She was demanding I take my video down. She was threatening me. And I asked her, I said, I will certainly take it down. But after she got to the point where she was name calling, I was like, listen, I don't have to actually take it down. I said, but I will take it down because my goal was to spread awareness. I said, it wasn't to trigger you in this way. And I genuinely was apologetic, but I kind of gave it back to her a little bit. I wasn't the, peaceful human being that I am and that I strive to be right now. I was still pretty ghetto when I first started this channel. So I was giving it right back to her and I told her I said, what was the issue? Because all of the information came from a documentary that you had done. Everything in that video, it was a 2-parter, came right from her. I didn't add anything. I didn't even research back then. I listened to what the mom said happened and I wrote about it. Right. She said that the reason she couldn't listen to the video is because I had mentioned that her son was devastatingly handsome, gorgeous, that I was jealous that she had such a great relationship with her adult son. And I said he was someone who I would have loved to have, gotten to know. And she said, by saying those things, I was insinuating that I knew him as a person and pretending to know him for views and clout. So it went back and forth till finally I said, look, B word, the videos are down. Don't ever come on my channel again. And I blocked her. And I didn't stoop so low as to what I wanted to say, which was you complained in that whole documentary that the police did nothing to help find your son. This is probably why, because she kept saying the whole time, I was a New York police officer. And I'm like, yeah, I know. Like, I literally did a video on your son, but I did not stoop that low, guys. I didn't say that to her because at the end of the day, she is a mother who is missing her only child. So, plus this happened over in like Denmark or something, and he was homosexual. It was this whole story. Nobody was covering it. So at the same time that she is sending me all of these horrific messages, this chick Stephanie was like my idol. And I would even say back when I used to do the fireside chat, like, well, no Stephanie Harlow, you know, I love Stephanie Harlow. I just thought she was the ultimate, and I thought she was so cool. And meanwhile, I find out the very next day after this conversation happened, Stephanie is putting her own video out.
On the same thing.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
Wow.
It's monetized. Okay.
Yeah.
But in her defense, she reached out to the mother first and talked to the mother. The mother said, I did not know that true crime on YouTube was a thing. Okay. She said, you triggered me. I said, well, that, you know, okay. I'm like, all you had to say, like, literally the only thing you had to say was, I'm uncomfortable with this video. Please take it down. And I would have done it like in a heartbeat. Plus, it was like the third video, maybe the second I had ever done. So I didn't know to reach out to the family. I didn't know how to reach out to the family. So then Stephanie Harlow goes on her video about Amber Tuckero. So if you go to Stephanie Harlow's channel, I wouldn't advocate for it because she's one of those people that talks crap and then says, but don't come for me, which is why I always say come for me if you want to. I do that on purpose. So she has this video on Amber Tuckero. That's the girl that was found, the young mother who was found murdered and deceased, I think in Canada, in like some farm. And she had gotten into a car or a truck where she was hitchhiking. And she was so uncomfortable, she called her brother or somebody in prison and just like left a message. I don't know. We can't do that in the United States, so it didn't really make sense to me. But the whole time you hear the guy, she's like, you better not be taking me anywhere I don't want to go. And he's like, I'm not taking you. I'm taking you where you said you wanted to go. She's like, well, it doesn't seem like it. Like there's this whole conversation. So in the beginning of that video, for the first 15 minutes, she's talking about someone who is, you know, disrespectful to the families. And she's talking about me the entire time. And I couldn't believe it. As someone who's been on YouTube for however many years she was on at that point, knowing I was a fan, I felt very friendly with her whenever I would come in. Like she knew I supported her. She knew I looked up to her. I feel like if that happened, like if I was her at this point and someone did something like that now, a newcomer who was literally 6 months in, I would privately contact them and say, oh yeah, listen, just some advice. I know you didn't ask for it, but here's the situation. She ripped me, and no, she didn't use my name. But I knew who she was talking about, and it hurt me, and it really messed me up because I didn't do much true crime after that, and I still don't do all that crime.
Well, and also at that point in time, you were still building your confidence again from coming out of addiction and all of that, and so having that kind of, for lack of a better term, attack come at you, yeah, it'll knock you down. You know.
It was
wow.
It was bad. Hi Danny, welcome. And Nicole, I'm not sure if I said hi to you, Nick Y, and Miss Smoochy. So Danny,
calm down before because I'm all twitchy, so
that's
I just
okay,
haven't chat yet, so forgive me right now.
I'm Danny, I'm very sorry. Danny said my mom died last year. I lost my stepfather who raised me for the better half of my childhood last year as well. And I know that can be really hard. If you wanted to talk to me about that, if you have questions, I mean, feel free to ask us. But if you wanted to talk to me about that, maybe privately, I feel like the reason people come in and say things like that right off the bat is because I am a medium. And I know you can contact me at GemmaJadeParnormal at gmail.com. And guys, like I was saying in the beginning, if there's anything you guys want to talk about in here and just hear what we have to say about it, hear our opinions, ideas, if you guys are having something happening, I mean, I'd send you a link to bring you on. That's what this particular chat is for. It's for you guys to talk and whatever you guys want to do. Chris Jarvis, Jules Enigma, what is up? She was 96. Wow.
Oh, wow.
Lived a full life.
That's amazing.
Well, my dad just turned 90, so.
I always tell people, working in this community especially, and no, it has to be YouTube friendly, unfortunately. So that leaves a lot of stuff out. So including sex, Smoochie. Yep. But Smoochie, you and I can talk about it.
Okay, I'll leave. Here, I'll do this. There you go. No, I meant to.
I'm like, he definitely meant to take himself out of there.
Yeah, I did.
No, that's what.
Hey, let me get you fixed.
All right, can you stop now?
Yeah, I was just trying to fix you back. Okay, I'll just do this.
No, we don't take ourselves that seriously.
The shenanigans never stop. That's what that's why also I want Lara to be on at least twice a month streaming solo, because I feel like I said, it's not that I don't have a spiritual sense, but I'm more like with working with the dead and working with I'm not energy, working with like oracle decks and then with the channel. And I just feel like a lot of the times there are questions that I really can't answer as easily as you can with something. Right. So,
well, in some aspects also, the way you do your readings with the decks are sometimes they're similar to how I do things. You and I also pick up on the energies in different ways, so being able
that's why we're a good complement too to
slightly
each other.
Different messages. Yeah, absolutely.
Pinky and kinky hour. You probably could get away with it as long as you never try to monetize.
That's on the darker side of YouTube.
The dark put adult content or 18 and over, you can get away.
Yeah, you can do that because I
not kid friendly.
All right, so we do have something going on in the chat, which is what I just said we're here for. So let's take a look. Multifaceted Jules says, guys, I feel I need to apologize and explain last night. I missed so much of that last night, but those of you probably.
I was so busy trying to keep up.
I caught a little bit of it.
I try my best.
The young lady I'm trying to help is a junkie. By the way, that's kind of a slur. I know you don't know that, but it is. And she's trying to get clean, but her needs to be X. Oh, needs to be X. Okay, so this person needs to be her ex is taunting her with going and using. I felt a strong spiritual attack against me from outside trying to get her to go. I can definitely speak on that. First and foremost. So I would say from my angle of it, people that use heavily, especially to where they would be using something where they could be called a junkie, they very quickly and very easily get addiction demons attached to them. Addiction demons do not make you use. They do not force you to use. They don't even really compel you to use. They kind of influence. Yeah, I know. I'm not mad at you for it. A lot of people don't know that's a slur. They will kind of influence you to make poorer choices, which will leave you stuck in that cycle, right? So, Jules, first of all, I commend you because trying to help someone get out of, especially an opiate addiction. I mean, I'm just going to be real and say what I mean. I saw Danny say he has a drug problem. He's out. I had a drug problem for 6 years of my life. So if you're serious,
we got you, hon. It's okay, Danny. You
don't have to leave.
No, you don't have to leave.
He said LOL, so I'm not sure. Yeah, I was gonna say he may be joking. I'm not sure. But anyway, so doesn't translate well through text. But I was hoping you were kidding. I'm like, please don't go. I'm sorry, I'm getting very sidetracked. So they will compel you or influence you a little bit to make these poor choices. Now, I commend you because it is really hard, especially when it comes to opiates. And you have to understand, too, that no matter how many times a person comes to you and says, I want to stop doing this, I really have had enough, I'm going to do this, 99.9% of the time, they're under the influence when they're saying that. So it's very easy to feel good about anything, including getting help or getting clean. So that's number one. So I do commend you. And I feel like you would be a great person a lot of us would be, to help someone like that. But my concern was drug user, I'll explain the whole slur thing. I'll mention that after I address this with Jules. I feel like a lot of us would be good people, good candidates for that, but a lot of the times it is to our detriment because of things like this. So if he's still coming around and she hasn't put that boundary up, or if she's enforcing that boundary and he's just not listening, there is a next step to take to keep someone away from you. I would say I would be fairly certain that she's not 100% completely done, because that almost never involves no form of outside help because of what it does to our bodies and what it does to our systems. So that's my take on that. And Nicole, it's not a slur to everybody. The word junkie started because back in like the 70s, some journalist or something was driving around California and he saw a bunch of drug users, mainly heroin users, and they were using on the street. They were just using, and they were climbing in and out of dumpsters and through all the junk. So they called them junkies. People think it because they call that specific drug or any drugs junk that they're junkies, but it actually came from that. I get a little offended by it because, I worked when I was using, and I never stole from anybody when I was using, and I maintained my cleanliness when I was using. So I get like a little like, ooh. But it doesn't offend me to the point where like I'm gonna like go crazy about it. I just feel like it is a slur, but use whatever term you feel comfortable using. I usually just say someone on drugs, drug user. I don't like the word dope fiend either, but doesn't mean if someone uses it in my presence, I freak out, That, I mean, at the end of the day, that is exactly what we are. So we are dope fiends, whether you consider dope one particular drug or all drugs in general. But I don't know. I guess it just like it like hurts my feelings, I guess. Lara, what would you say to that, to her feeling this outside force that she feels attacked her?
Yeah, so in her case, she's like us. She's very sensitive to these outside energies. One, yes, absolutely. I get exactly where she's coming from in being the helper, wanting to intervene to try to help this person. But she needs to remember to put up her own energetic protections. And I know it's not always easy, or that you remember in the moment, especially if something sudden happens where you need to jump into the situation to try to take action to try to help. But you and I both talked about surrounding yourself in the golden light. Imagining that golden light starting at the heart chakra and expanding that light out and around you from head to toe. To me, I expand it out until it's a sphere. When I'm at home, part of the protections I do for my home is I expand that sphere out as far as it will go to encompass the entire property. So that in and of itself is a good practice to continue with. And imagine the outside of that sphere coated in mirrors. So any negative energy that is coming in towards you is immediately being reflected back to its source. Whether it's an entity, a person, a place, it's certainly something I would highly recommend you use.
Yeah, and I like the mirror thing. I've always said too that that's what I always do when I'm out in public or like in a crowded place. I just surround myself with those mirrors, and people don't believe me. They're like, "Oh, come on, Gemma." And I'm like, "Listen, I've seen people cross the street to avoid having to walk past me when I do that." Yeah, my mom, that's what my mom would do. And Edna said when she asked me for money for diapers and formula, I took the diapers and formula. Man, she was pissed, but it is what it is. My dad, I was just talking about him in the chat. He used to do that stuff. He would sell like our food card, and it's crazy. And I don't judge any of them because I've done some pretty terrible things too. I never stole from anyone, but that doesn't mean I was immune to the addiction of completely making me be someone that I wasn't and do things that it was like every day I was crossing a new line. Like I did this, but I will never do that. And then the next day I would do that. And then it was like, well, I did that, but I would never. And it just went on and on and on. Now, these things are, and Edna, you are right on point. They are going to be attracted to her because if, she's truly removed her energy. Now she's in this place of a loving environment with someone who cares deeply for her. And that is a higher vibration than what she's been vibrating at. She's been vibrating very low. They're going to want her back, number one. Number two, and Edna said it, until she removes herself from her old life, I would just, you know what? My concern, honestly, I'm concerned for this woman or this young woman, whatever, I don't know her age. And I would never want to see anyone go through that. But you are my friend. You are my soul sister. And I'm just going to put it out there. You have to protect yourself at all costs from these types of entities, especially with everything that you've been through, until she can disconnect from her old life. And she will need some sort of professional help to go along with this. It's not really likely that it'll stick with this kind of energy around if she's not proactively taking steps. And I can't make the whole stream. I really don't want to because it makes some people uncomfortable, but I make the whole stream about this. Someone will report me for talking about drugs and then I'll get in trouble for that. But Nicole Perone, Gemma Jade, I bought your book, Encounters with Evil, enjoying it a lot. Thank you so much. I wonder, did you get the new cover? Does the cover still have 2 names on it or does it only have my name? I'm very curious to see if that happened yet. But Jules, if you want to text me or speak to me privately, or Lara, I'm sure would love to talk to you more about it too. Couldn't feel anything from her. Use the disco ball. New England Dirt Roadie is talking about how he did energy work on Claude, who's his cat, who he did bring back from the brink of death, as we saw on Tuesday afternoon. He said, I had him in my lap with one hand on his head and another on his rump, and I circulated bright white light through him. And that's how you do it.
Absolutely.
Whenever I rub RJ's back, whether he's sick or he's not sick, I rub his back at night, and I still just do it. I just do it as like upkeep,
When Ladybug was paralyzed, and I still do when she sits with me, channel energy, healing energy through her body. But when she was paralyzed, that's exactly what I was doing, is I was concentrating that energy using my hands over the area where she was injured, but then I would span it out over her entire body, funneling that golden light, that bright white golden light through her body to help her heal. And now I say she runs around the house. She would never have any idea she was paralyzed for a week and a half. So.
Yeah, I never really knew how to my name in the scary picture. Yes. All right, guys. So new cover is on the Encounters with Evil book, which is great because I am the only one who wrote it. So I'm very excited about that because I got to the point where I was just crossing off other people's names. I did write the whole thing. So I feel like I deserve the credit. A lot of that too, guys, and that book specifically are encounters from my own life. I changed some of the circumstances because it wasn't necessarily a book about my experiences, but I'm trying to think of evil encounters. And instead of doing half of the 101, I ended up having to do all of them. And I had like 2 weeks to do the last 51 of them. So I was like really reaching, and I was like, you know what? Just use your own personal stories, Gemma. Just do it. So is that the same as Reiki, Lara?
Okay, so basically it is.
Good
Um,
question.
at its core, it energy healing and Reiki are one and the same. Now, what I didn't realize until probably around 2005, 2006, was that what I had been doing my whole life in channeling energy and using it to heal was basically Reiki. I have been certified as a level 2 practitioner in Reiki. And Reiki has specific um, steps that you go through to become a master. I have yet to connect with someone to become a Reiki master, at which time I would then be able to feel comfortable with teaching other people um, Reiki. But as far as channeling healing energy, we all have that natural ability, but it's just like something like playing piano, where some people at birth will naturally pick up the ability to play piano very easily, and others have to work at it.
That's true.
So, now I have been told by both of my mentors and many other people that I consider in high regard that I am a natural energy healer, that's, just like, you and I are natural mediums, that this is just a gift that I was born with, like a natural piano player.
And I love that about you too, because even though it comes naturally to you, you really worked at it. And I know that for absolute fact. Number one, what's up, Latro, and anyone else who came in who I missed, because I love greeting everybody. You guys know that. Number one, I just believe you. I believe in you, and I see people at a soul level when I look at them and I read energy, so I know you're not a liar. And number two, I was there when New England Dirt Roadie opened that palm stone you sent him. Okay. I wasn't there in the room, but I was texting with him and he was blown away. New England Dirt Roadie is someone who I also like. I know that he will tell me the truth. I asked Spirit this, and this is what they said. What do you think about that? He's not going to just agree with what I say Spirit says. He has his own ways of divining. I don't think New England Dirt Roadie, I don't mean to talk about you like you're not here, but you are one of those people who you don't even realize that like divining answers and understanding energy work, those are abilities. And I
Hmm.
believe I said to you at some point, I believe you're going to come into several sets of abilities that are very similar to my own, whether you choose to work with them or not. um, that's a different story. Slow Motion says, can anyone do it, or you need to have the gift? I think anyone can do it. It's just a matter of
Anyone
practice.
can do it. Exactly. And
You know,
you, it's a meditative practice, whereby you learn to naturally funnel and channel that energy. Because basically, when you're doing energy healing, you're a conduit. You are the radio receiver and broadcaster. The energy itself is what's doing the healing. So the energy from Earth and all around is the energy that I channel through my body, um, like a wire, and then I send that energy out to the person, the animal, the land, wherever it's needed. And I can point you in direction of other teachers, but I'm also certainly more than happy to work with people one-on-one and just share what I know, share how I've learned.
That's how we get it out there. And I just want to say slow motion. That's actually a good question because I don't know if a lot of people know this, but across the board, anyone can do any of this. You do not have to be born a medium. Now, I don't know how
You
that
can
works
learn.
with being a physical medium, but I do know that anyone can be a medium. It takes a lot of hard work and dedication, but if it's something that you're really willing to put your mind to, you can learn how to do that. It probably, I mean, I don't know, but I think it takes years. Like I think to get like
It
the
can.
basics of it would be 2 to 3 years, I believe what someone told me. But I
No, not necessarily. If they've got a natural tendency. So they may not know that they've got that natural tendency, natural ability. Um, my mentor, Sarah Lemos, she actually has a short mediumship course that you can take just to see, okay, do I have the natural ability? Do I, is this something that I can come by easily or that with work I can develop? And it's just a 5-week course. I actually took it when I was first getting back into things just to say, okay, I know I used to be able to do these things. Can I still? And oh yeah, in spades. But
but you
that
had a
said,
natural propensity for it. I'm
I had a
talking
natural,
about
and so we had other students within the group that they didn't know if they did or not, or if they would, ever be able to develop it, and so on. And so they were able to see by the end of the course at least that okay, I was getting small hits, and that maybe if I work at this and I practice over time, I can develop it. So it honestly depends on the individual. It really does.
your gift is asking questions.
Hey, actually, that is a gift because
Yeah, I was just gonna
everybody
say,
has
yeah.
questions.
He said, I'm sorry for hogging the conversation, but like I was saying before, that's actually what this stream is for. We may bring something we
Yeah.
want to talk about, but the whole reason I started this was,
Talk to you
just so.
folks. Yeah.
But from what I understand, you can learn how to do any of it.
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't know how long it would take, and maybe it does have to do with
Everybody's different, as I feel.
your natural
Like,
propensities,
Right.
what you're good at, what you're not. Like I'm a physical medium, so I will see spirit in front of me. I can call spirit teams. I hear them and I can sometimes I'll say to you guys when I pull a card, like, I don't know why, but like I'm feeling really upset right now, like really, and I know that it's your emotion. So someone
Hmm.
else who isn't, I don't know what the other forms of mediums are called, but I know there are at least 2 other different types of mediums. And you, Lara, your gift works differently than mine.
Yeah, I'm more of an evidentiary medium. So I receive information, and that information can come as knowings, claircognizance. Um, so while occasionally, uh, like with the stream the other night, I will see something with my physical eyes. What I see, feel, know, hear is all internal. And so, you may see me just kind of drift off and I'm looking at one spot, and it's not because I'm looking at an object, it's because I'm receiving information internally about whatever the situation is. It could be a place, it could be talking to a specific person, an attachment, a ghost, um, any of that. So the gentleman that I mentioned in the chat that was on Dave's show last night on Paranormal 60, um, Scotty, he Scott Davies. He is more like me in that aspect, that he's an evidentiary medium, meaning that while he will feel their energy, he will know that they're there. He doesn't see them with his physical eyes. He sees
And
them with
you
his
also
internal.
hear, like, I hear them as, I mean, it could be either or for me, to be honest with you, but 98% of the time I'm hearing them as an outside voice, right? So if a spirit says, "Hey, Gemma," I could hear it. Now, no one else in the room will hear it. My kids usually will hear it to one degree or another. But like, if somebody who's not a medium is in the room with me, I'll just go like this and they'll be like, "What are you doing?" And that happens on Wednesday night a lot of the time too. But you hear it more as though it's not your own thoughts, but in your head.
In my head, yeah. Now, that said, I have had more instances of physically hearing it. So whether it's I just haven't bothered to develop that, or I've closed myself off to hearing it, I'm still discovering, that I have actually been able to hear. Oh, a good example, when I worked as the secretary at the Elks Lodge, and I had woman's voice clear as a bell right next to me say, "Hello, Laura." And I look over, there's no women in the bar. Okay. So, but yet I heard it with my physical ear, not my
Well, sometimes spirits will
internal
do that.
dialogue.
I noticed that too. And again, harkening back to mainly our Wednesday night stream is big with this type of stuff, because I have so much spirit and so many entities here that it's not uncommon for things like that to happen. So you guys will all hear, and it sounds like my house is vibrating, or I'm sure he'll be back, or we'll hear random laughter, or you'll hear someone yell or cough, and there's nobody else home when I'm doing that stream, 9.5 times out of 10, really. So some spirits will, I was talking to Eric this morning about, like, I don't need an EVP recorder because I just hear them like that. It's more to validate the other people, or validate to the other people what's going on. But some spirits do have the ability to make themselves heard to people who normally would not physically hear them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, like in my case with that particular instance, that particular spirit was able to pick up on the fact that I was someone who was there that would be able to hear her. Because most of the other people that go there at that time were very closed off to that kind of thing. So, again, it goes back to, it can be learned. Some people it's going to take more time, some people it's going to take less time. But that's why I love teaching all aspects, whether it's of the spiritual nature, or mediumship, or in normal mundane world, teaching art, because once you can step outside of the mindset of, well, I've never been able to draw a stick figure, therefore I don't have any artistic ability. Let me prove you wrong.
That all the time.
My husband, after 10 years of marriage, would say, "I don't have an artistic bone in my body." And I said, "Why do you think that?" "Well, I had this teacher tell me this, and I had this person tell me that." And I said, first of all, they were wrong. Second of all, I can show you ways to learn artistic ability, just like we can be shown ways to learn to develop our psychic abilities, our mediumship ability.
I get people who say that to me too, especially like when I'm in group. Someone will be like, "Wow, you write whole books. Like, I can't even write a sentence." And I'm like, Are you sure? Because I mean,
Uh-huh.
listen, I always say the same thing. I'm like, I cannot even draw a stick figure, but I like my books. I'm proud of my books, and I feel like I'm talented with words. I always have been. I've always loved them. So I feel like that's my artistic gift to the world. But I don't disagree that if I were to, I was never, art class was like, I would cartoon. That's what I would do. Like, no matter what I was asked to draw, I would draw it as a cartoon because it was just easier for me to do that. And I just was never interested in that type of art. Like, I'm not wanting to go to like an art
And
museum. I don't, it's not
that
interesting
right
to
there
me,
was
but
the
that
key.
doesn't necessarily mean that if I were ever interested in it, I wouldn't be able to learn. So you're
Right.
absolutely right. It is more about how, are you willing to learn? What do you want to learn? And you can, you could be someone who maybe goes through 3 to 4 years of training to become a medium, but you might not ever become a physical medium because maybe that's something different. Or you might decide, you might have a bit after 3 to 4 years, what I'm trying to say, you might have worked so very hard to get the bare minimum of medium ability and be great at what you can do, where someone else who has done this for 6 months has far surpassed you in that particular ability. But more than
Right.
likely it's because they have more of a natural propensity. Hey, I said it this morning.
Exactly.
I think all of us are born with the exact same set of spiritual abilities. It's just what we came here with recall with, what we came here to do in our lives. Someone who is 100% blocked and won't even entertain the notion of ghosts came here with that mindset.
Yeah.
Most
Well,
of
and
the time.
societal conditioning. So you grow up in a household where, as a child, you used to see something in your closet that was physical and real to you, but yet your parents say, stop making things up, stop telling lies, stop. Eventually, Sarah calls it mudding. I call it, you know, coding yourself, where you block yourself off from these abilities and say, no, okay, I just want to see it. I'm not going to see it. I'm not going to hear it. And when you can break yourself away from that mindset and say, you know what, maybe I was right. Maybe I did see those things, or maybe I did feel those things. And build your self confidence.
I'm
That's one of the
back.
things that I love about working
Just
with
message you.
Sarah is all of her lessons are geared around building your self confidence, because those of us with abilities in our society, for the most part, we have been mudded to the nth degree, to the point that we're like, okay,
And a lot of us
I'm
in our
I'm
own
I'm
home.
pretending I don't see these things now.
A lot of
You
us in
know,
our own homes, I was talking about that too this morning. Like, it started at a very young age for me to just try to ignore what was happening around me, pretend like it wasn't happening, and never ever ever speak about it.
right?
And that did not lead me to a good place, because there were times, when I was, I think, 12 or 13, The Craft came out, and I was like, I could do some of that stuff, and it was like cool for a little while there. And but then once I showed people that I can do some of that stuff, then I was back to being like ridiculed again. And
Right.
even in today's society, with like as accepting as everyone expects everyone else to be of even the most ridiculous things, um, the paranormal community, mediums, light workers in general, we kind of get a bad rap. There are a lot of us who in our own homes are rejected for what we are, or
I love
rejected.
my
Like, why do you
husband,
have to talk about it
but yeah,
publicly like that?
yeah,
Why do you have to talk about it publicly like that? Well, I don't know, because it's a big part of who I am, and because I'm interested in helping people with it, and because I don't want to
mhm,
throw myself into addiction and want to die all the time because of it, because I feel so outside of everything and everyone else. But that's never an acceptable answer. So it's like, even nowadays, we just get a bad rap. And I think that's why we all need each other too, a lot of the time in this community.
Absolutely. And that's why it's so important for us to come together and talk to each other. And and not just you, me, Stephen, but all of us about these things in a way that is non-judgmental. So when not calling her out, but when Miss Shelley, for instance, comes and says, I saw XYZ, I don't call her out on it. I say, okay, tell me more about what did you feel? What did you see?
I've
What was
tried to
and
do that.
support, and it's hard. It's very hard to do so.
I don't have a problem doing it. I'll do it for you.
But be supportive, and that's part of why I do, like Stephen, I do hit a lot of these streams to remind people that, we all have our individual experiences that we have absolutely zero way to prove evidence to an outside person, but we know they're real. So
I think it's hailing.
We can't turn around and discount that other person.
What's going on, Ghost Dragons?
I think it's hailing. We're getting slammed right now. I mean,
okay.
Are you,
you
dear?
should have seen the lightning when the power went off. It lit up the whole house.
Oh, wow.
And now it sounds like really big hail.
Anna says, everyone thinks I'm a witch, and it kind of pisses me off, so I don't say much anymore, except with you folks.
You know what? I just let it go.
New England Dirt Roadie says, I need to do a lot of work on my other cat, see if I can mellow her out. Roger Blair says, Gemma, I went by Highwayman. We were talking about CB tag handles. We're going to end in just a couple minutes, guys. I'm going to go eat for the first time today.
Yeah.
I'm going to go bang my head against the wall.
Let me just say one thing real quick. So, Aunt Edna, why is it that, and just ask yourself this question this evening, why is it that when someone calls you a witch, you find it hurtful or makes you angry and so on? Because society has conditioned the people within to view the idea of a witch or witchcraft as something evil and negative. And we're not. No, you must be having loud lightning.
Oh, it's crazy here.
Yeah. I can hear it too.
What triggers me is when people say, oh, well, she can talk to spirits. She must be a witch. She must be evil. And it's like, excuse me? That will piss me off, pardon my language, faster than anything in the universe.
I just can't imagine you angry. So it's like, do you have proof of this being angry?
Trust me, you don't want it because it's like an atom bomb going off.
Look, woman, get it right.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah. Edna says, like, I'm sitting here whipping up some evil. I can see how like, I get that a lot in my church. People accusing me of necromancy. Necromancy is when you particularly and purposely go out to raise a dead body. It is not when spirit comes to you and starts talking and asking for help. My cousin, Robert Haywood Jr., says the paranormal field has always been interesting to me since I was a kid. Because that's probably because, number one, the Haywood side of the family, that is my mother's maiden name, right? It just runs through our veins. Not to mention, I told you the other day, there was this one house that he lived in as a kid, and his mom used to babysit me, my Aunt Audrey, when I was little. And that house was just filled with so much darkness. And I can imagine what you've seen as a kid there that you probably have suppressed, shut down, shut out, and don't even remember anymore. I'm not surprised it's interested you because we all have some form of the gift in this family, period. We all do.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same reason why I've been interested in it my whole life. It's because I've experienced those things to some degree, whether I've shut some of it off or not, that I'm drawn to it, that I want to understand myself. And if anybody gives you any flack about, well, you're able to do X, Y, Z, and you're a witch, you say, yeah, and God made me that way.
Well, it took me a really long time to
It just-
understand that. I didn't
we-
become
Yeah.
I didn't become a Christian until 2016. And I was raised with a Catholic father. Even with all the things he was doing, he still somehow held on to that Catholicism, and it was considered evil. And I'll never forget it. I still have not made it through The Exorcist because of this, the original Exorcist movie. I was watching it. I was 8 years old. We lived across the street from a cemetery in a little apartment. And I remember running from the living room. I was so scared of this movie. Now, I had watched other horror movies. I've been watching them my whole life. My mom is the horror queen in our family. We all know this. But for some reason, this movie was really getting to me. And I remember my uncle making a comment of that was what was going to happen to me if I kept messing around with the dead. And telling an 8-year-old kid that, I was
Oh my God.
horrified. Oh, Danny,
Yeah.
my dad thinks he is. What's up, Ted? Guys, make sure you go on back and rewind. I'm going to end it here so I can go eat and maybe get some sleep finally. Thank you all for coming and hanging out with us. The next time you will see, well, tomorrow night at midnight and Saturday night at midnight, you will have Ghostdragonzw with Midnight Vibes. Okay. Miss Lara, why don't you say your goodbye so I can bring us out and then you don't have to sit here and
Sounds good.
suffer
Yeah.
through it.
I just want to say goodnight to everybody. I'll be in the chat, of course, as much as I can, and just treat each other with kindness. Like Gemma says, go in love and grace. And Gemma, I'll talk to you behind the scenes later on.
Yes, sweetie. I will talk to you later or tomorrow, one or the other.
Sounds good.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
She's so sweet. I can't imagine her. But I've had someone say that to me too one time. They're like, do you have proof of when you get angry and like flip out? I'm like, you don't want to know. Like, I'm a Jersey girl. Come on. So tomorrow night, Saturday night, midnight. So technically it's Saturday and Sunday. It'll be Ghost Dragon with Midnight Vibes. He'll be there for y'all live streaming. Monday, you will have the pre-recorded upload that I put out, but as a premiere. And that will be, what am I covering? Oh, is Bigfoot paranormal? And I also have one encounter where Bigfoot is definitely telepathic, which was very validating to me. But Robert, we're going to have to talk about it at some point because I would love to hear your memories because I definitely have my own. Tuesday at noon Eastern time, I will be on Paranormal Highway with Eric, just like I was this morning, but that was inadvertent, or this afternoon actually. And then Wednesday, Live Intuitive Oracle, and next Thursday, Lara. So every day of the week, I think I've got something going on this channel or something going on as far as live streams in general. So be kind to each other, guys. It doesn't cost anything. Always go in grace. Smile at a stranger today. And make sure you're kind to yourselves as well. And don't accept anything less than others being kind to you, as I always say at the end of my videos. All the newcomers, welcome. Slow Motion, good to have you back. So great to see all of you guys and gals. And yeah, bye.